Hey guys, Taxman here. Today, I'm finishing up a drawing that I'm doing for a client. It is it's for her blog, and so I had already gotten to the lines at this point, but I did want to get to, kind of show you the process of coloring, because I feel like that's something that I haven't really done a lot with you guys here. And the thing that's really cool about working with clients sometimes is that in this case, it's a client that's very that really trusts your vision. So you just say, okay, well. They give you a basic concept, and whatever I showed her, she was up for it. So I'm like, cool, it's awesome. So I'm glad that but that could be a whole nother video, talking about having good clients and people who trust your visions. But yeah, this is a really simple one. It was just a couple illustrations I did for this client's blog, or like a travel, like an Instagram kind of thing. So it's the simple premise. You just ask for like 3 different drawings, and so what I'm doing here is, you can see I had like a pink background. In this case, it's just so I can make sure that everything's being filled in. I know that there's line art and stuff like that, so sometimes people can be tempted to kind of just work with the line art, or use the fill tool. But one of the issues with the fill tool is that that also kind of limits the way that you draw. For example, like with hair, if you want it to look like loose and light, maybe you don't want to close off all the lines and the edges. So you can't really fill in like that. So this is just kind of one way to do it, just kind of doing it in by hand. And for me, I don't know, I'm sure there's like a better way to do it, but it's just, I don't know, it's pretty calm and relaxing. I don't really know too many other ways of doing it, where you use the fill tool. The issue is that I'm in Photoshop. Now, if it was like Illustrator, it might be easier to fill in, but in this case, you usually end up with like little borders around the lines if you just try to fill in. And yeah, so for example, if I would have put a pink background after just using a fill tool, you would probably just see like a pink outline around everything that I filled in. So yeah, this is just the way that I'm doing it here. It's really simple. I'm not showing it here, but I have 3 different layers, or I have a couple different layers. You have like the coloring layer, like the one that's just the raw color, and then I have another layer that's a multiply layer that I'm using for the shadows. And so obviously, and so I kind of gave it like a strong red tint, and that way I can kind of just mess with the opacity of, it's like a solid opaque, like a dark red. And I think you saw there before, but basically that's what I use for the shadows, and I can kind of modify it as I go if I want it to be more or less intense. And for the lighting, I use an overlay layer. It's very similar, just kind of like with a more yellow or like a brighter tint. And basically that's what we're working with, to kind of get the colors to kind of have like a hue shading, like a hue shift. This case, this one's pretty fun because I just wanted to kind of sell the idea that like glowing, kind of like, ah. So of course, like the light source is coming from below. And this one is this one takes place in a beach. So I wanted to kind of have the lights and the shadows be a little bit stronger. And all of them, for example, I have another layer that I think you can see it on the one on the left, which is it's the best way to say, like an ambient lighting. So it's not always good to have one, but sometimes it kind of like helps to kind of like give the shape a little more like backlighting, so it feels a little more 3-dimensional. And you can see probably in some cases too, like the line art is black and white, or is solid black. But when it comes to things like the folds of the clothes, I actually chose to to kind of lighten them up and to actually give them a tint. Because especially for stuff like, and you can see it on the left one, especially for stuff that's like clothing and stuff like that, like it helps to have like ripples and folds and stuff like that. But you don't want to be too strong, otherwise of course it can even be like unflattering. It can be like way too foldy. But yeah, so these are pretty simple, really straightforward. The concept is just like, okay, so it's like a travel blog, and so I wanted to kind of like really sell each of those aspects of it, like taking pictures, eating a really good meal, being at the beach, and just anything that, so even like little details where it's like, even though like the original model or the original like reference didn't have like the hat or the sunglasses or the bag, anything that helps to kind of sell the concept. I was even considering like giving her like sandals there, but I thought that would be a little bit too different. So I decided against it. But yeah, it was also kind of a fun way to make this background too, because I wanted the background to be like like you could it's a PNG, so you can put it up against any background. So yeah, here we go, guys. Here's the final product. I had to change the color of the hair in the end because the client, she changed her hair color. But yeah, I'm pretty proud. I'm pretty happy with how these came out. It was really fun. It maybe took like 2 hours to color all of them. So guys, that's pretty much it. Oh, and I have one more announcement too. The comic book that I've been working on, Continental Kings, is almost done. And if in this video in the future, it might already be out. In which case, I definitely want you guys to get it. Man, I've been working so hard on this. It's like 8 months. Scripting where you can touch
with me, like on Twitter. So you can follow me on Twitter. I just recently got one, and so I just post artwork. And if the comic is out, you'll definitely see me post about it there. So yeah, bye guys.